You're listening to the Kristof podcast, a podcast where I have conversations with inspirational people. My name is Chris, but my family calls me Kristof. My goal is to have as many conversations as possible with people who have forged their own path by pursuing their dreams, making them a reality, all the while emitting positivity and sharing this knowledge with others. I seek these people out and share this information with you, proving to the world that you can do what makes you happy and do what you want for a living while being a good human being. We'll talk about careers, but we'll also cover any story that inspires. Let's do this while helping each other. Thanks for listening. I'm happy you're here. Hey everyone, welcome to the Kristof podcast, where I have conversations with inspirational people. This is conversation number 35, and today my guest is Inez Barberio. She is an emotional intelligence thought leader, and recently she's become a YouTuber, much like myself, as well as the podcast. She's been doing it a month, and I'm very excited to see her journey with that as well, because she's doing so many things that are similar to what we're doing here with this podcast. I was very excited to talk to her because she was so easy to speak with, and she truly made my job easier. So without further ado, welcome to the Kristof podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm pretty excited myself.
Absolutely. You know, I say this every time. I'm so excited to everybody I speak for everybody I speak for, but for you, for a multitude of reasons. One of the reasons we just talked about is you are a fellow YouTuber now. As about a month ago, you said you just started a very similar, podcast / YouTube station, or YouTube channel, I should say. And it's really exciting to see that, because I know I've been doing this for 7 months, and looking back on when I started, it seems like it was yesterday, and I've hit so many hurdles along the way, but I'm so happy that you started it, because you said yourself it was kind of scary to start, but the biggest part is starting it, and then I know you feel much better after the fact that you've started it now.
Oh, absolutely. It was really funny, because when I first decided, okay, I'm going to go for it and launch it, the reason behind it is I was looking for something more positive, because I have so many positive conversations all the time with people, and you see, like, when you have that positive energy, you start attracting more of it.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to do something of my own, so I was like, all right, you know what, be the change that you seek. I'm like, damn it, I'm going to start my own and just send out all the positive messages I can.
Yeah.
And funny story with it, when I first posted it on my Facebook and said, hey, listen, I'm looking for people to interview who can have inspirational stories. I've got friends who are entrepreneurs, who are in the media industry. People signed up, which was really exciting. And my one friend who is on this show, Impractical Jokers, he's nationwide, and he wasn't supposed to interview until like the end of October. I'm like, good, I'll get like some other interviews in first to get comfortable. Yeah. And this assistant like texted me one day. She's like, oh, Inez, listen, he wants to do it like tomorrow. Is that okay? I'm like, okay.
Yeah, definitely not ready for that. Oh my God, I've been there.
So he ended up being my first interview, which worked out great because he helped me promote it. So, for obviously, and he gave such a compelling story too. And, he cried during it. And so it was really exciting and heartfelt.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. It's, well, first of all, that's a pretty awesome guest to have initially. I've been so blessed with everybody that's been on this podcast as well, from number one to all the way up to you. I'm always very thankful for people's time and their stories, because it can be hard to open up. But man, starting like that, it takes a lot to even just start the channel. But then to start, it can be intimidating, and it was. You said yourself, like, that's oh, he called, or he's ready to do it. Like, I'm not ready, but you did it, and it was good, because I watched some of it, and it was good, and it didn't seem like you had just done that. So that's always very good. I think you're always more prepared than you think you are. You're going to be able to handle the situation better than maybe you make up in your mind.
Right.
So you did great. That's a great first one.
I've definitely learned, like, I teach emotional intelligence, so I really learned how to retrain my mind to make everything positive. So instead of being anxious over something, it's the same feelings as being excited. So I tell myself, I'm excited, this is going to be really fun. And, that's how I get over that hurdle.
Yeah, that's good. The self-talk is obviously very important. It's crucial to be able to analyze your situation around you and be able to walk yourself through it. And I know that's a huge thing that you do. I know you being an emotional intelligence thought leader, amongst any other, many other things that you do. And that's one of the things, and I wanted to get into that as well, of course, and in your own words, what that means. But you said it yourself just now, that's being able to walk yourself through these situations and talk yourself as rationally as possible usually helps you get through from, start to end.
Yeah, well, with emotional intelligence, which is, it's been around, it's definitely gained more popularity in the last decade. And, it comprises of being aware of yourself, aware of how you feel, learning how to manage those feelings and emotions, being aware of other people, and being empathetic and building relationships. So for me, and as with anybody, it takes practice and consistency to reach that point. And I'm very blessed that I have an amazing mentor who has been teaching it herself for the last 15 years. So she guided me along the way. And she's the one that encouraged me to start doing basically what she does too, and kind of like handed me her business plan.
Oh, wow.
And I practiced it at home, and I teach it at schools and nonprofits and businesses, and I do speaking engagements now. And this is all within 2 years, and things are happening pretty quickly, and I love it. I absolutely love it, because it's definitely, I see the difference just in my family's life alone. I see how they're changing their mindsets. I see how they're learning how to cope with stress better and understand why they feel this way, and finding healthier options, to get past those negative feelings.
Yeah, it definitely has that effect of if you practice it yourself, like you said, consistently, because it takes time, it doesn't happen overnight, but if you practice it consistently, then it rubs off on the people around you, rubs off in your family, obviously the people that you spend time with mostly. And I think one of the first things you said is that you have to be cognizant of the fact, you have to think about yourself, think about others around you, think about your family. And until you start realizing that, are you able to start applying that and being able to analyze your life and those around you. But it's great, like you said, to be able to do that, because then it really starts rubbing off on your family and those around you. And it's just like you even said before that when you have positivity, hopefully it attracts more positivity, and from what I've seen, it does. And I know bad things happen regardless sometimes, and that's the way it is. But for the most part, especially in my experience, when you're dealing with people, and the people in your life, when you're positive, those are the type of people that want to be in your life.
I agree 100%. And a lot of it, when people talk about being emotionally intelligent, it doesn't mean that bad things don't happen. It doesn't mean that you're not going to get stressed out or upset over things. All it means is that you're more aware of it, and you learn how to get past it more quickly.
Yeah, aware. That was the word I was looking for. You nailed it. Yeah, aware. Being aware. And that can be really tough to start with, is to being able to even understand it at first, like being aware. Because I know I lived many years of my life, I thought I knew what was going on around me, but not until I started looking and wanting to learn more about myself and the world around me, like you've just described it, I actually start to become aware.
Yeah. I mean, I had to go back to like my childhood and get rid of all these self-limiting beliefs of mine.
Yeah.
There's things about me, belief systems, that I kept on going back into the negative because I've been programmed that way.
Yeah.
Nobody did it intentionally to hurt me, but like I always say, we know what we know.
Mm-hmm.
And until someone breaks that cycle and is strong enough to look back and make that change within themselves, and as I mentioned, it takes time.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the results are just fantastic. Everything is so much better in life.
Yeah, and I saw recently you posted on Instagram, you said your son now wants to start meditation in the morning, and I was like, that is cool. How old is your son?
He just turned 13.
So he just turned 13 and he wants to do this in the morning. Like, I'm struggling with that, and I'm in my 30s, so this is cool to hear.
It is awesome to hear. I mean, I was so excited when he told me that, because we on the Disney cruise, and he turned 13 on the ship, which was pretty fun.
Oh, wow.
And he literally just a couple nights ago, he says to me, he's like, "Mommy, what meditation video do you like?" because there's one that I use a lot on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I told him, and he goes, I want to do it every morning before school.
Wow.
And he goes, should I get up earlier now? I'm like, no, it's just a quick 10-minute meditation. Yeah. And it's great that like I said, this is an example of me seeing what I do and how I live my life.
Absolutely.
Rub off on him.
Yes, exactly. And that's why I loved it. And that's why I saw it. And that's why it stuck with me. And that's why I wanted to bring it up, because I want people listening or watching to be like, here's a real life example of a 13-year-old boy that it rubs off. Don't think that it doesn't rub off on the people around you. And here's a prime example of that. It's very important.
It is. And that's why I'm like really trying to stress about emotional intelligence in schools, because we put so much pressure on these children today, on their academics, on their sports. I see it firsthand, and it's overkill. And while that's important, if children don't know how to communicate, if they don't know how to learn, understand their emotions and deal with it in a healthy way, they're not going to succeed. And
I couldn't agree with you more. I just talked about this in my last conversation just a little bit, so I'm very glad to see it come up again. I love seeing things come up organically, repeatedly, because that means they're probably coming up for a reason.
Yeah, and it's funny because a few months back I was being interviewed. I was on the show, and it was focused on the education system. And the gentleman that was interviewing me, he was an older gentleman, and very old school academic background. Yeah. So he heard me say, the emotional well-being of our children is more important than grades. Over it. And I said, wait. I let him finish. And I said, all right, now you're going to let me understand why. Because what happens is when we put the emotional well-being of our children first, and we teach them and we give them this mental skills toolbox, rather, the good grades come with it.
Absolutely. Yeah, you have to build that good foundation first. Like I said, I could not agree more. And I very, very much so subscribe to this thought. You have to understand what's going on in your head, and you have to be able to articulate yourself and communicate that to others effectively. And then once you can do that, yes, of course grades matter, and of course learning matters. All of that matters, but you really have to get it together in your head first. I think especially at a young age, when our kids are growing up, they're going through school, yes, it's important, that's obvious, but also teaching them how to communicate effectively is as equally important. And I don't think it's just good to have one. I don't think it's just good to have the other. Like this gentleman you're speaking of saying, well, you don't think grades are important? Well, obviously they are, but you have to be able to work on a few different things at once, and they each complement each other very well.
Oh, very true. I have plenty of friends. I know people who have PhDs, and they can't communicate at all. That way, to put it nicely.
It's scary true. Yeah, it's scary true. You see a lot of people, like you just said, and sometimes it's maybe no fault of their own, but at the same time, I've met a lot of people that have these great college degrees, and I'm not saying they're not great people by any means, but at the same time, they lack basic communication skills or lifestyle skills, and because these things are not taught in school, and that's the issue that you brought up, is they should be taught in school. So these people get all these years in their life, they're doing years and years of schooling after they get out of high school, and after they initially go to college, they continue their schooling, so they've done it for years now, but they've made it this far and they don't have these basic skills because it was never maybe they didn't have the opportunity to have it taught to them as children, but definitely they did not have that opportunity in school.
Right. Well, a lot of times they say, I do agree it begins in the home. But if the parents themselves don't know it, how are they going to teach it?
Exactly. And it's like, how are you, like you're saying, like how are you going to rub off on people, and how are you going to be able to set a good example if you're not having a good example set for you?
Right, and I think it should begin in preschool. Kids pick up things very quickly, and just constant, and it doesn't even have to be a separate program. You could integrate it into the other parts of your academics. And I also do nonprofit work for this foundation called Mallory's Army.
Yeah, I saw that. That's very cool. Let's talk about that. Absolutely.
Mallory is a girl who passed away. She took her own life June of 2017. And her mother started this foundation not so much for suicide prevention, but rather anti-bullying. Okay. Because what our kids are getting in school about anti-bullying is an assembly. They throw an assembly in there, and first day of school, my son had one, and I said, what did they do? Well, we watched some like 10-minute video, at the gym, and that was it. You go into school, there's a be kind hallway. Well, that's not going to do anything. Kids don't understand, like, hurt people. And when he entered the 6th grade last year, which is his middle school, the first day of school, I had asked him, how was school and how are the kids? And he's like, oh, school was fine, except the 7th and 8th graders were really mean. I'm like, in what way? He said, well, they walked down the halls and gave us the middle finger and said, F you, 6th graders. Like, whoa. And so I said,
nice.
How did you feel about that? He goes, oh, I didn't take it personally. He goes, Mom, it probably happened to them when they were in 6th grade, and hurt people. So I'm like, oh, it's, wow. And this is just me of doing 2 years of emotional intelligence with, in the home. So could you imagine if these children were taught beginning in preschool how much more balanced they would be by the time they are in middle school? Because there's so many problems that are stemming in middle school. I see it so much, and it breaks my heart what these kids are going through.
It is heartbreaking, and it's not even, it's in middle school, but like you said, it starts even earlier than that. Mm-hmm. It's, elementary school, middle school. It's, obviously prevalent in high school, and it's prevalent in the adult world. It happens at workplaces. It happens everywhere. I mean, some people definitely don't grow up or be able to look. I mean, gosh, how many people do we all have in our life that we could probably think of right now that are maybe like, wow, they could have really used this as a child? And you would hope as they progress through life and they gain life experiences and they meet new people that they would be able to kind of formulate this themselves, like, hey, maybe I should not do this anymore, maybe I should try to be a better person. But I think, again, like, if you start at an early age and you're able to get these kids from that early of an age, then you really set them in the right trajectory at that point.
Oh, absolutely. I just did my partner Julie and I, this girl named Julie, she does more nutrition, and teamed up together and started this thing called the New Learning Workshop, NEW standing for Nutrition, Emotional Intelligence, and W is Well-Being. And we did a program at the Boys and Girls Club a few weeks ago. And part of it, when I was doing my emotional intelligence aspect, so I asked specifically for the middle schoolers because they're the toughest grades age, and I wanted to, kind of test a program out with them. And I read a text. So when we talk about bullying, I'm in my 40s, and I read this text that was sent to me. It was actually 2 summers ago from a old friend, no longer friend, unfortunately, that was filled with, it was just probably one of the nastiest things I've ever received.
Oh, wow.
Based on insecurities, jealousy, stuff like that. And I read it to the kids, and then I said, oh, by the way, that was sent to me. And they're shocked, so wow. They kind of felt like, oh my goodness, is you go through it too? Yeah. So I'm like, yes, because unfortunately this person never learned, how to cope with her emotions and feelings. Instead of discussing it as an adult, she lashed out.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. That's I mean, you had a perfect example. What I was saying, like, you still experience it. I'm in my 30s, I experience it. You said you're in your 40s, you still experience it, and it goes all the way up because some people just unfortunately don't get it. But I have a lot of hope that conversations like you and I are having right now, somebody maybe listen to that. Maybe that's that person. Maybe there's somebody listening to this right now that they're like, wow, maybe I am that person. Maybe I am still doing these things, but you can obviously always change. There's not like he's too old or she's too old to change. Like, you can do something about it, but it's like you said, all the way back, you have to be aware. And until you're aware of it, then now you can make a change.
And as a flip example, on me, I had a falling out with a girlfriend years ago. At the time, I did not know how to explain to her, the anger and frustration I felt. So the way I dealt with it at the time was just to cut her off completely. Yeah. And just say, you know what, I'm done with you. I can't deal with you. That's it. It's over. Didn't talk to her for 3 years. When I started really diving deep into EQ and emotional intelligence, and I'm an avid reader, and I'm reading this book called Lovability by Robert Holden. And as I'm reading it, it was like a light bulb went off in my head, and then suddenly, I just like that, I understood that that anger I felt towards her had nothing to do with her.
Yeah.
It had everything to do with me.
You.
And I didn't realize it at the time. So I literally pick up my phone and just like randomly text her. I had no idea if she would read it or if she had blocked me by now. And I text her and I just say, hey, listen, I know it's been a few years. I apologize. I am sorry. And I said, quite honestly, I didn't know how to handle it at the time, but I do now. And I just want to say I'm sorry. And she texted me back the next day, like, and now, we're on speaking terms again. And
That's
it's
awesome.
Lovely.
Yeah, it's
lovely.
tough. And I've had some falling outs with people myself, and it was never their fault. I can say across the board, I've had a lot of things happen in my life, like we all have. And a lot of times I didn't know how to deal with them at the time. And then it, like you said, yours lasted 3 years. I've had some last a long time as well. And sometimes I think, at least for myself, like a safety mechanism was to just completely cut ties because you don't know how to cope. So maybe it was almost like an out of sight, out of mind type of deal. And then you get to a point, like you said yourself, you're reading a book and then it just snaps and you're like, oh my gosh, like that's what I was doing wrong, or that's what I was doing. And then you apply it, but at least you're able to, because in that moment you become aware. And then, again, like we keep on coming back to that. So obviously a very important point to make there, but you become aware and you're able to reach out. And it's awesome that they reciprocated that and they are understanding of that. And I think that's an important point to make as well, is that maybe if somebody's cut themselves out of your life, then to think, don't automatically think that it's you. Think that, and don't obviously automatically think that it's them. You obviously want to do some self-reflection as well, but don't blame yourself automatically. But know that maybe they're dealing with some things, they're struggling with some things in their life, and they honestly just don't know how to cope with it. So this is maybe the only way that they can cope with it. And I know definitively, I can tell anyone that's listening right now, definitively, I have cut people out of my life, in my life, because I did not know, I just simply did not know how to deal with it. And it sucks, and it was really sucky, and I was not a good person, but ultimately I'd like to think that I saved more grief temporarily, and then once I was able to become more aware of myself and what I was doing, then I was able to come back around and say, hey, this is what was going on. I know you may not understand, but I do now. I kind of understand what's going on, and I'm working on it. So, if you could just please work with me, this is what's going on. Yeah.
And, what you learned and what I've learned too is take accountability.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly.
We are living in this society now that there is blaming and complaining and, it's nobody's fault. But, it's hard to say it's my fault or I have to take ownership. And the quicker we realize that, then the pain will end more, quickly than just holding on to that anger.
Yeah, it is hard, but I think it's one of those other things that if you do it once, you're more susceptible to doing it again. So just rip the Band-Aid off and, take that accountability, and then you'll be able to recognize it easier down the road and be able to take accountability easier if it so comes up again.
Oh, it's true. It's funny. I'm a little twisted now where I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I'm going to go fix that now. And I'm so self-aware. It's getting a little bit too much, but it's all good.
Oh, yeah, and I think I've struggled with that as well, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, you don't obviously want it to get out of hand where you're thinking maybe everything's your fault and everything that you're accountable for. You want to do it within reason, and that becomes sort of a skill that you have to, just like anything, you want to consistently refine over time as you grow older. You want to be able to, of course, become aware, have that accountability, reach out to others, have, them understand hopefully why, but at the same time, don't overload yourself.
Well, like you said, it's life. Like that's why I constantly read. That's why I constantly, for all my news feeds and any social media, it's only positive stuff. The minute things get negative, I just, I'll mute it or something. I don't want to get wrapped up in any of that. And it gets easier as time goes by because you're going to be tested. I mean, sometimes I'm tested with something. I'm like, oh, I'm great. Okay, yeah, I got this. I can handle myself really well. And then out of nowhere, something will challenge me. And I take a few steps back. It's like, okay, how am I going to manage this? And, but it works out.
Absolutely. It works out, and pushing out the positivity is amazing. And that's one of the things I noticed. I was, of course, looking at your Instagram profile, and yes, it was so much positivity, and I absolutely love the positivity. But we have to know that obviously there's going to be negativity out there as well. So, I would say that maybe as well, don't be afraid to put out the negativity there, because I think maybe sometimes people see, well, maybe there is nothing. I haven't looked for the record, so please correct me if I'm wrong. But I haven't looked too deep in your photos. But, don't be afraid to, like, say anything that, like, negativity happening, because I don't want anybody to look and be like, oh, well, maybe Inez's life, she doesn't encounter any negativity, she only posts about positive stuff.
No, if you read my blogs, I've actually, like, more so in my blogs where I can, like, write more than a paragraph.
Yeah, sure.
I will go deeper into the challenge that I face. But it's funny you say that, because I think the blog I wrote last month, I would like to write more. It's just that trying to get that time thing.
Absolutely.
But, and you're being very bitter. And I'm like, I was kind of surprised to hear that, because I wanted to set out saying, hey, not everything is great, but this is how I dealt with it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's what helps. I mean, and again, it's like, well, here I am, like I'm saying, like, let's be transparent. Let's talk about some of the things that are bad as well. And then out of the woodwork comes like, hey, why are you being so negative? Why are you, why are you being so sour? And it's like, dude, I can't win. Like, if I'm positive all the time, people are like, oh, he's positive all the time. He's, must be hiding something, or, what is Inez hiding? And then when the second you post, like, something negative, they're like, what's up, dude? Like, what is going on with you? So, obviously you can't please all the people all the time, but, we're going to try to please some of the people some of the time. And I think the people that really want to see a change in their own lives are going to see that we are trying our hardest to be able to have that transparency and push out that positivity around us. Because like you've said yourself, which I really like, is, the positivity is out there. You just have to look for it. So when you said earlier, you just push out positivity, and a lot of times it comes back at you. So just look for it. But, I don't know. It's funny to me when people, you post something like that and they come at you, but it's going to happen, and that's the nature of the beast with this whole internet thing, the whole social media thing. So.
It's still fairly new if you think about it.
Oh my gosh, yeah. In the long scope of things, the history of technologies, this is absolutely it's not no man's land, but it's pretty early. It's a pretty scary place. I mean, there's not a lot of rules out there, and there's anybody can say anything about anybody, and it's just, I guess that's part of the fun, and you have to be able to take a couple of those blows on the chin, but you got to keep on pushing through them.
Well, one of the hardest lessons I've learned, and it's actually worked very well in my benefit, is that what other people say about me is none of my business. I can't control it, right?
I love that. I mean, it's not, God, now that's got me thinking. I'm like, did I see something that you said about that, or did I just happen to see that? I don't know. That's crazy. I think I saw this somewhere else today, and it was like a sign. It was like something I needed to hear today. What other people say about me isn't my business. And I love it. That's so crazy that you've brought it up too. And I mean, it's, again, I really do think that as much as I think that's true, it's so hard. It's so hard to think about in the moment. Like when somebody's saying something negative to you, I mean, it's easier for us to like look at each other right now in this conversation and be like, hey, that's none of your business if they want to talk bad at you. But I know, and even when you're writing that blog and somebody speaks negatively of it, it's really hard, because that's, you poured your heart and soul. You are putting your thoughts onto paper, and you're opening up on a one-way platform for people to read your thoughts, and then for somebody to judge it, you take it personally. It's hard not to.
Yeah.
It
is.
Oh man, it's tough. It's really tough.
Oh, that's where all the neuroscience comes in with emotional intelligence. It's like, because that's how our brains are wired. The emotions, we hit the emotions first, and you have to like get past it to get to your prefrontal cortex to like learn how to like actually manage those emotions. So, I tell people, it takes time. It's consistency. It's not going to happen in a day or a week or even a month. It may take years, but it's worth it. It really is worth putting the time and effort into it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree. And it does take years. I know I have been working on it for years, and I will continue to work on it for years myself. But I do see, I do see progress, and that's an important part. And you may not see progress immediately, but I think much like anything, when you start to see progress, you want to continue to see that progress. And I personally have absolutely loved the changes that I've seen in myself, that I've been able to become aware and change myself for the better. And so once I've recognized that, I'm like, wow, I have a lot of work to do, and I need to keep on working on it. Because even now, as I say this, 7 months later down in the podcast, and years after I started trying to think like this and change myself, it's been tough. It hasn't been an easy road, and I still have so much to teach myself and to learn from other people.
Yeah. And I do learn from a lot of people, like just from you and from other people, like on social media. There's a lot of good on social media too.
There is. Yeah. And you have to know where to look. I mean, gosh, like even simple things. I don't even know who I was talking about it to, but even simple things like if you're facing a lot of negativity on Instagram, for example, since I do a lot of my business on Instagram, like stop following those people. Like if somebody's like posting bad things all the time, stop following them. If you have friends on Facebook that are constantly posting, things that are bringing you down, unfollow them or mute them or do whatever you want. Like it can be as simple as that. You don't have to do huge life changes at first. Just slowly try to mitigate the negativity, and then maybe somebody needs help, then you can reach out to them if they're constantly posting, depressive stuff or negative things like, hey, or you want to talk to somebody or whatever. I don't know. Different people express themselves different ways, but I know that I have definitely cut out as much as I can of that negativity.
Yeah, same here. I don't even watch TV in the house.
TV's bad too. I mean, I can't even watch TV without getting 2 minutes of some political commercial or something crazy that I'm just like, I can't even, there's even so much negativity just in commercials or in TV shows as well.
Can I tell you, I was so happy to be on a cruise ship during this whole last election. I had no Wi-Fi for a week. It was really nice to escape and not have to hear or see any of it.
Yeah, I can imagine. So many times I just want to like lay it down and not touch it, but I do, like I said, I do a lot of my work, and I know that I do more good help, reaching and posting my thoughts than if I was to hang it up for a week. And and that's tough, but I think you have to, like, sometimes I do have days like that where I know I want to post this or I want to do that, and then I'm off the rest of the day because I just need to get things done or I need to separate myself. So I think it's both possible. You don't have to always, like we're talking, cut things out. There's ways where you can still do what you have to do and then be able to do the other things that you have to do. It doesn't need to be so black and white.
Oh, no. I mean, like you said, just take out all those negative feeds, and that's a big part of it right there.
Yeah, absolutely. So what you said, you wanted to start your YouTube channel, you started it a month ago.
Yeah.
So you started your YouTube channel a month ago, but you want to spread positivity. So where do you see this going?
Oh gosh, I have big goals.
I want to hear them. They may motivate me even more. So let's talk about that.
Okay, so I want to be on Oprah's network with my own talk show.
That's an amazing goal. I fully support that, and you're definitely capable, and obviously capable of doing that.
I am always networking, I'm telling you. I'm always networking and getting myself out there. And I travel to Italy every summer, and I have quite a family there now of strangers who basically adopted me into their family. So I'll get there. I'm gonna, but like you said, it takes work, and I'm just keep on working and just doing everything I can to.
Absolutely.
I think there's so much good in the world, and people, like you say, we just need to see it, because there is a lot of beauty all around us.
First of all, I want to go back to, why would you want to set a small goal? So I'm happy that you've set the highest goal that you could think of, like you got to be doing that. Like, too many people set their goals small, and that's one of the things. We're talking about things that take years for you to realize. Well, it's taken me years to realize that I was setting my goals way too small. So I'm glad to hear that. Don't ever be embarrassed to be like, this is my goal, and I'm gonna effing get it. Like, just go after it. So it's just, you grow faster than you think you do. Even in the moment, you don't maybe think you're growing, or the channel is not going anywhere. Because I know in 7 months, I would have never thought that I even gotten into the 30s with my conversations. I barely got to like conversation 2 or 3. So I know it's just, you gotta, like you said, it's amazing what you're already doing. And I know with the mindset that you already have, with the consistency and the positivity and the transparency and the goal setting, that it's gonna be great. And it's not gonna be easy, but you will get there.
Hey, and when I do have my show, then you'll be my guest.
Oh, thanks. I'd greatly appreciate that.
You, me, and Oprah.
You know what? I would very much like that.
That'd be so cool.
I would look. Oprah, if you're listening, I mean, she's got to be a regular listener of this podcast by now. So if she's listening, I'd love to have her on. So
make sure you tag her.
Yeah, seriously. And super quick tangent for people like setting big goals and thinking that maybe it's not achievable, especially with social media. It's way more achievable than you think. It's a lot easier to, think about 10, especially 20 years ago or anything further than that. It was near impossible to contact a lot of people that were in a quote unquote celebrity status or that did whatever, had TV shows, that whatever madness they did, it was insanely hard to capture them and to get them on whatever you were doing. Right. But now a lot of people have emails and phone numbers that are easily accessible, which again could be double-edged. So be careful what you're putting out there. But at the same time, it's easier to get a hold of people as long as you know where to look and you have a lot of determination.
And I think though too, I have a little bit of an edge because I write I'm a celebrity correspondent as well for Millennium Magazine, which is based out of New York. So I do have some contact that I'm able to have access to.
Yeah.
But one thing I've learned, and which makes me so much more comfortable with this, is that every celebrity that I've interviewed or met, and there's been quite a few, they're just regular people. They really are. Their publicists may be a little bit difficult sometimes. I think they feel it's their job to protect the talent, but literally I've not had a bad experience. I like to think because I'm pulling out all this positive energy out of them, but I probably have most of their private cell numbers where I could just call or text and say, hey, what's up, how you doing?
They
trust me enough to know that I'm that we have a friendship there.
No, absolutely. And I would very much expect that from someone like yourself, just talking to you for the short amount of time that we've talked to. All of the things that we've hit back to how we should raise our children from day one, you are a shining example of that. So the fact that you're saying that, these people are just people, yes, but of course they're going to be friends with you because why wouldn't they? It's easy to be.
Why not?
Yeah, why wouldn't you be? But no, I'm in all seriousness, when you are a genuine person, and when you're not, trying to fake these things,
right?
That's the type. You're the type of person I'd like to be friends with. You're the type of person I'd like to have on this conversations. It's not, by accident that these things happen.
Yeah, and you know what? And that's what I'm trying to teach, like my son too. I have an older son too, but the younger one, who's home. Just teaching him all these skills, and it's really rewarding for me to see it like sinking in and seeing him apply these principles into his own life, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's so rewarding. It's absolutely.
So it's funny, before we left on our cruise, we had a birthday party for him, just for a handful of his friends. So the kids are outside, I'm holding the phone, and Murr's there, his face is there. My niece is standing next to me, and she's staring at my phone, and she's like, she couldn't get the words out. She's like, that's him. And I'm like, who? And she's like, that's the guy from the show. And I'm like, oh, that's Mara, say hello. And then when Mateo's like, he's just like, hey, thanks for calling. He's just like so relaxed and natural. And where a few of his other friends who watched the show and Practical Jokers were like freaking out. The one kid was hyperventilating. I thought maybe he had to go to the hospital. I was like, are you okay? What's wrong? And he kept saying, oh my God. And I'm like, calm down.
But then there's your son, just cool as a cucumber.
Yeah. And my son's like, hey, because I taught him, like, you know what? I teach him too that, he's a huge, huge football fan. He's a big Eagles fan. He loves football. And I said, listen, you can appreciate the talent that these football players have, but don't idolize them unless you know what they stand for.
Sure.
And I think that's really important because, I mean, if you go on some of these Instagram pages and you see these massive amounts of followers these people have, many who are children, yet they're not giving a positive message, it worries me. But, luckily for my son, Carson Wentz, the quarterback for the Eagles, is a wonderful role model. So I'm really happy.
I'm glad to hear that, and that's a really good point. And again, it's so easy to follow all these people, and they literally have hundreds of thousands and millions of people that watch them, and just look at their every single move. So honestly, if they're putting out, I mean, I feel like. I mean, you can live your life and you can do whatever you want if you're in that position, but at the same time, you've got to know that there's tons and tons and tons of kids that are watching you. So I would hope that, you kind of monitor a little bit what you put out. And, that's... Yeah. I don't know. I'm not trying to regulate what people are out, putting out in their social media profiles, but at the same time, you got to be cognizant of the fact that everybody's watching and a lot of people are looking up to you, whether or not they idolize you or not.
And it goes back to the parents, too. I think we need to teach our children how to be responsible with social media and understand that, all these, we're seeing highlights of everybody's lives and not everything's real. So there needs to be some type of responsibility on us adults to help them understand it.
Yeah. And if those adults need to work on themselves first, then it can be really difficult. So that's where it comes. Well, we need to start somewhere at least. There's no hope. So if we just can, if there are some people at least cognizant of the fact that we need the change, then the change will eventually occur. It may be painstakingly slow at sometimes, but it will occur. And it doesn't just have to. I mean, we should start at younger ages, but it doesn't have to start there. If you're older, like we said, you can still change. So help out your friends and help out your families, especially if they're seeking that change and that help themselves.
Yeah, I agree.
Inez, this has been an amazing conversation, and I've got so much information from you. I've learned so much, and your positivity, like you've talked about, is overwhelming. I've learned a lot from you, and I know everybody listening and watching has learned a lot from you as well. And then hopefully someday we'll be on Oprah together, and I'd love to be interviewed by you all as well. So thank you so much for your time. I truly do appreciate it.
Thank you. It was a really great time. I enjoy it. Thank you.
It's so easy to talk. You made my job easy. It was just back and forth. So thank you so much.
Yeah, you're pretty easy to talk to too. So
I try to be. I feel like I don't get paid for it, but it sure is a job. So a job that I absolutely love, and it's one of the reasons you said you started your podcast. One of the reasons I started my podcast is because I do love having these conversations, truly and genuinely. So I want to continue having them, and I want to capture them, and then share this information with everybody else. And I know that's what you're doing. I can see it. So I'm excited to see the growth in your YouTube channel as well.
Thank you. And best of luck to you.
Thank you so much, Inez. Have a great night.
Thanks, you too.
See
Bye.
Ya.